AP World History Topic 8.9 Causation in the Age of the Cold War and Decolonization. Essential question: why and to what extent were the effects of the Cold War similar in the Eastern and Western hemispheres? The effects of the Cold War reverberated throughout the Eastern and Western hemispheres, shaping political, economic, social, and cultural landscapes. While there were similarities in the impact experienced by both hemispheres due to the dominance of superpowers and the emergence of new nations, there were also notable differences reflecting the geopolitical dynamics and historical contexts of each region. Politically, the Cold War engendered division and ideological conflict, leading to the formation of distinct spheres of influence dominated by the United States and the Soviet Union. In the Western Hemisphere, where the United States held sway as the first world superpower, political systems generally leaned towards democracy and free market economies. However, even in this hemisphere, there were instances of political turmoil and intervention, such as the Cuban and Nicaraguan revolutions, where communist ideologies took root, challenging established power structures. In the Eastern Hemisphere, particularly in Eastern Europe and Asia, the grip of Soviet influence led to the establishment of communist regimes in several countries, forming the Soviet bloc. Countries like East Germany, Poland, and Czechoslovakia fell under Soviet control, with governments heavily influenced by Moscow. The division of Germany and the construction of the Iron Curtain symbolized the stark ideological and political divide between the Western and Eastern hemispheres, with the latter experiencing greater repression and authoritarianism. Economically, the Cold War accentuated disparities between the hemispheres. The Western Hemisphere, bolstered by initiatives like the Marshall Plan, experienced economic prosperity and the spread of welfare states, particularly in Western Europe. These nations implemented social welfare programs to counter the allure of communism, promoting economic stability and social cohesion. Conversely, the Eastern Bloc struggled economically under the constraints of central planning and state control. The transition from command economies to free market systems proved arduous, marked by economic crises and social upheaval. However, countries like China gradually embraced market-oriented reforms, leading to significant economic growth and global integration. Socially and culturally, the Cold War fueled tensions and conflicts, leaving a profound impact on societies on both sides of the divide. Proxy wars and interventions in regions like Asia, Africa, and Latin America led to widespread violence, displacement, and human suffering. The Vietnam War, for instance, resulted in immense casualties and societal upheaval, while conflicts in Africa and Latin America fueled by superpower rivalry destabilized entire regions. Moreover, the Cold War era stifled cultural exchange and freedom of expression in the Eastern Hemisphere, as authoritarian regimes tightly controlled information and cultural output to maintain ideological conformity. In contrast, the Western Hemisphere experienced a cultural renaissance, characterized by artistic innovation and intellectual freedom, facilitated by greater personal liberties and access to global cultural trends. While the effects of the Cold War were similar in both the Eastern and Western hemispheres in terms of geopolitical polarization and the emergence of new nations, the extent and nature of these effects varied significantly. The dominance of superpowers, ideological conflicts, and proxy wars shaped the political, economic, social, and cultural landscapes of each hemisphere in distinct ways, leaving a lasting imprint on the latter half of the 20th century and beyond. And that is everything you need to answer the essential question: why and to what extent were the effects of the Cold War similar in the Eastern and Western hemispheres?